Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, got to get it in real quick before we get the day started. Got some stuff I wanted to go over. Um, if you guys saw the Schmitta video, if you didn't, I suggest you go check it out. It's pretty interesting, and things are kind of playing out similar to how we were expecting. However, one of the little loopholes and surprises is that while stocks and indexes were heavy and kind of making the moves that we were looking for, Bitcoin didn't exactly follow in the fashion that stocks did. So, like for instance, SPX minus 1.5, Dow Jones minus like 1.7, 1.8 yesterday, and Bitcoin didn't. Bitcoin actually pumped in the morning and started to retrace throughout the day. And it's kind of, I feel like it's perplexing a lot of people, meaning like they're looking at Bitcoin and thinking, well, why isn't it dumping? It's showing strength. And if you make a synthetic pair with Bitcoin versus like index or all crypto versus index, it is showing a little strength, but you got to realize and zoom out, like this is just low time frame deviations, in my opinion. Um, Meaning like the parity between crypto and stocks, sometimes it's more sensitive, sometimes it's less sensitive. And I think ultimately it will end up catching up to whatever other risk assets are doing. So let's look at Dow Jones first. And this was like one of the hints. And you see it's still marked up from the Schmitta video, but this green line right here is the 200 moving average. And you can see what happens when this guy breaks. When it's tested, you had nice bounces off of it here. And look, when it breaks back in 2008, you get this dump. When it breaks during COVID, you get this one. And really, I was kind of like comparing 2008 structurally to to what we have going on right now, right? So, let me do it like this. It's a little easier when you see it this way. But this is 2008 on the left, and right is what we have right now. And you can see where the moving average is. And the first time you would be essentially here. It kind of fools people into thinking that it's going to bounce off. And it did bounce. And it's like, okay, that's the end, just like all the other times. We bounce off the 200 MA, and it's bullish again. I mean, it has a way of fooling people that way, especially when you're trading moving averages. But the key here is it didn't actually get there. So you see what happens is it actually makes a bear flag and then breaks it with force and then retests and then dumps. So on current day, same thing. We toyed with it. We didn't actually touch it. A real retest, more often than not, you touch it or slightly break it. Just remember that. It's important. So like this was a real test. This was tested. It touched it. This is the 99 as well as the 60. Touches the 99, and then you get a nice move after. But this guy on the way down doesn't touch. It gives a fake out up, gets rejected by the 60. So this is your first this is like really bearish right here when the 60 rejects, because this was support the whole way up. So this guy breaks first, and then it gets retested, rejects, and now we've broken through it and we've closed the weekly below, 2 weeklies below. A lot of people are looking at SPX, that's S&P, and because it's still support, they're thinking that this is going to bounce. But unfortunately, I'm of the camp that I think Dow is probably showing you which way everything is going to go. It's just moving first. Um, so if this guy breaks, like I don't expect crypto to be holding. And it's just one of those things that it's going to happen. If it happens, it'll happen pretty quickly and leave people on the wrong side. Like before you know it, it's just going to break and everyone will be like, oh, it's breaking. Crypto isn't decoupled from stocks. And, you know, before you know it, everybody that bought this range is underwater pretty quickly. It could get pretty scary. So hey, good morning. Make sure to try wrap chips. Yeah. Yeah, those look There's a guy. I'm gonna check him out. I'll check him out. Shout out to Discount Gosling. Guy, you legit look like Gosling. Pretty cool. But yeah, like one of the other things that I see a lot of people discussing actually is DXY, and everybody's trying to call the top on this guy. And you know what? Frankly, we could be close to it, but like when you zoom out, this is a large wave. Um, it's hard to say where the top is. This area is definitely going to be a resistance, so like 120-ish. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense actually. However, even if the top is in on DXY, like that doesn't mean that like all risk assets pump immediately. So for people that are like more new, like you're basically like you have to understand this on like let's keep it really simple, right? Um, you're trading for the most part Bitcoin versus well, yeah, we'll use both examples. You're trading Bitcoin versus US dollar or your own fiat currency, like at the end of the day. Or you're trading altcoins against Bitcoin or versus Ethereum or whatever the case may be. But you have two different assets that you're exchanging. And the only thing you need to understand, like keep it really simple, is when one asset is stronger than the other, that's the asset you want, right? So if dollar is strong, typically stocks, houses, Bitcoin, anything that's traded against it, in essence, would be deemed weaker most of the time. However, you have the same relationship between Bitcoin and altcoins, and that's why we use Bitcoin dominance. So to show you what you want to be in. If Bitcoin is dominant against altcoins, you're better off being in Bitcoin, right? Quite simply put. As well as if US dollar is dominant against Bitcoin and everything, you want to be in US dollar. So that is basically like the main concept that you need to grasp. However, just because dollar is strong does not mean Bitcoin is going down and vice versa. And I'll give you a pretty clear example because I remember this quite clearly, actually. If you look at the all-time high of Bitcoin, right? Let's look at it. So this move, scoot over or move this over. This move right here, let's look at the date, July 21st, okay? And let's look at dollar on the other side. Let's see. So dollar bottoms May 31st and goes on a run straight up parabolic up until now. So if you look at dollar versus Bitcoin, Bitcoin went and made an all-time high from June to November, from May 31st to November, dollar was going up. It went from 89, broke resistance. It just did its own thing. And I remember as this was happening, a lot of people, I mean, I was looking at Bitcoin, it came out of this just like, you know what, this is bullish looking. And people were saying, well, dollar's pumping, dollar put a bottom in, dollar's doing an Adam Eve. And I said, yeah, I mean, it's going up, but like at the end of the day, the only chart that matters like predominantly is the chart that you're trading. So like, even if dollar is showing something bullish, it doesn't mean that like Bitcoin isn't going to go up. So I say that to say this, looking at dollar, yes, we could put in a top at any point. Like eventually this parabola will break, right? And when it breaks, it's going to violate the parabola and make some sort of structure and then dump and then it'll dump. It will dump. But for the first part of this, it doesn't mean that like Bitcoin can't continue downwards and that's just a bit of caution I'd like to add, especially to people that are trading like leverage and they have this chart open, they see it's dumping. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin is just going to go up. Okay, so let's clear that up. The other thing I covered in the video, or actually I think it was on Spaces the other day, is this chart. Keep talking about it, but if somebody is new and they don't understand what this means, let's cover it one more time. Bitcoin dominance, as I referred to earlier, is Bitcoin versus altcoins. But the problem with actually this guy, BTCD, this is the old one that we used to use, is that this chart broke in June of 2022. So like, And what I mean by that is this is used to measure the relationship between alts. So if this chart is bullish, it means Bitcoin is really strong and you don't want to be in alts and vice versa. So what happened here, as this candle dumps, this is where Bitcoin is breaking support around like 35K. And this chart just starts to nuke. And if you're just looking at this, this would create the illusion that, oh, alts are bullish versus Bitcoin. Let's buy alts now. They're going to bounce harder. But the problem is the actual real reason why this is looking this way is because the original BTC.D chart is weighted only against all altcoins, including stablecoins. So what was happening was people were selling to stables, and it was creating like this illusion on this chart that alts were strong. And in reality, alts were dumping twice as hard as Bitcoin. So at that point, I knew right away something was wrong with this chart. I spoke to my friend Stillman, and he was like, yeah, of course. We add stables to it. So that's what this one is. It's BTCD plus the stable dominance as well. And it gives you a more clear picture of what's happening. So looking at this guy, it's, to me, I mean, we're at a turning point, obviously, both on Bitcoin as well as this, and everything will be aligned. So like if stocks are able to bounce and hold support, dollar rejects, this will break down, Bitcoin will bounce out, ETH will bounce out, everything else will. Or if this goes, I think at the very least, this is going to go to like 58.5, but most likely for me, I think it's coming up here and going to make a new high. And when it does, like if it comes up here, this is pretty much the bottom of the bear market, like versus for altcoins. Like I think this, you may get this towards the end of the year or maybe even early next year. But if you ever see this chart up here, in my opinion, like you just like have to buy as much alts as you can at that point in time. It'll be extremely scary. There will be news and people will be talking about crypto is over. The last time this happened was when XRP did a minus 60% and there was like SEC FUD. That was right here. And I made the call. I was like, okay, this is the point where you just grab your balls and buy everything you can and hold it for a while. And I think that moment will happen again somewhere up here in the mid 60s. I don't think it'll ever go this high again. But this is a little gem to hold on to. It's not going to happen overnight, but and trust and believe if it does happen, I will make a stream and kind of remind you of where we are at that point in time. But for me, this is kind of the area that we're looking, unless this breaks down. If this breaks down, that's very good, but it's not what I'm expecting at this point. And looking at like Bitcoin, for instance, now, the world is just too fucked up, like we're in bad shape. Hey, good morning, Max. I don't want to get too political, but we were talking about this back in 2020 when COVID happened. It was just like we were in such a dark and strange time. People were saying, the simulation had broken. And, I was saying to Xavi and some other friends in the dojo, like, I think the next thing to happen is like civil unrest. Like there's going to be people rioting in the streets and famine and natural disasters and then eventually war. And this isn't like immediate, but then like shortly after you had the BMF riots and all that. And, it was really crazy. January 6th, all these things. If you look at the third world, people have been starving for the past 2 years. And now you have these conflicts going on with Russia as well as, China is starting to escalate. It's scary times, man. It's like looking at like what the markets are like right now. It's not just like your money, it's your health, the welfare of people of the world. Like this is really the last thing we need. And like if you look at VIX, which basically monitors the amount of risk people are willing to take, and when this guy starts to get up here, like if it's over 20, you're in like dangerous territory, honestly. So like if you zoom out, well, you want to be down here. Like down here, it's all good. This is like full risk market. When you start to get over 30, it's like be careful, and because this thing could take off. And looking at this structure, like if this breaks out, I don't know what that means for like the world. It could be something extremely dangerous. So Yeah, it's serious stuff, man. It's not just markets, it's like real life. Um, Pretty concerning stuff. Anyway, so let's see. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, oop, looking at how this is trading. Um, More so Bitcoin, like it's getting it's getting really low volume. The move is coming. You could get like a scam pump. I would short that if you get it today. I don't think I think we're just spending way too much time under 20K, to be honest. Like this is a bear flag right here. Uh, and you know, you just make it real simple. So like if this starts to break, this is your support. You break through. If you bounce off this support as bullish, that's a good sign. But you would need to see volume. Um, but if it breaks through, like it's gonna get ugly, and you don't want. I mean, I guess you can get lucky because like look, it happened here, so it is possible. I'm not telling you to be bearish at support, but I would say be cautious. I would say be cautious, and if you look at how like these type of moves have resolved in the past, like this is a one-off. We don't have the velocity yet to expect a V bottom on these. Like for this to V bottom, it has to be so bad and so scary that it kills everybody so quickly that nobody is there to buy and stuff is breaking all across the board. So, unfortunately, this is doing more of like a slow bleed type move, which then when it ultimately will accelerate, and when it does accelerate, then you can kind of start to take some risk. But like these are weekly candles, it doesn't just reverse overnight. It's going to take some time. So like same with here. So like I would say that like especially if you're trading with leverage and you have your eyes on longing the bottom and holding it for a while, like kind of get rid of that idea. At least the idea that you're going to long it in the heat of the dump and hold that for an extended period of time is a fool's errand. You won't. It's incredibly difficult. The best way to do that, like if you want to do like a high time frame position, you have to have a setup that's kind of like this guy right here, where you get your capitulation, you have your capitulation volume, you make a low, the low gets taken out, you bounce up, you retest, and then you start to get extended period of support, where it's just slowly inching its way up. Here, like you could potentially long something like this candle or any of this, and like your stop is below there. You structure your risk where if it does break, you're not dead. But this is like a better area to long than here. Even though this entry is better, you've it's easier to structure because this is just in free fall. And you know, for low time frame guys, those free fall trades can pay like super good pretty quickly. But if you're more of like a high time frame trader, you want to wait for the move to like really kind of show that it's stopped. And then if that's like your idea where you're firmly believing that this area is the bottom, you can structure a trade and hold it for a long period of time. So, yeah, that's it. So overall, dollar bullish, SPX, Dow, Bitcoin, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. I think it gets worse. Um, but let's see what else is there before I jump off. Yeah, like I think Bitcoin dominance rising is a bad thing. Obviously, I don't think that's bullish. I'm not expecting the safe haven thing going on with Bitcoin. I think that's also nonsense. We've heard that narrative many, many times. And in reality, it's just the markets are like not fully synchronized and it'll catch up. It'll catch up. If stocks continue to go down, Bitcoin's going to accelerate and probably pass them in the velocity of which it dumps. So be very, very careful. I did MRI spaces yesterday. I partnered with them for the people that were curious. And I mentioned that like MRI is Marshall Rogan, or well, not anymore, Marshall Inu. And I hadn't kept up with like what they were doing, but it's actually pretty sick. So like they named this guy named Dave Leduc. I think he's like the president now, or he has a leadership role with them. And this guy is like a Lithway fighter, which means it's pretty much like kickboxing with headbutts and no gloves. They're pretty badass. But like Joe Rogan mentions him a lot actually. I was listening to the Gordon Ryan episode, and he was talking about Dave Leduc and Lithway. He brings him up a lot. But I was on the Spaces yesterday, and apparently this month they're doing an actual fight event in Slovakia that he's hosting. And I suggested, I'm like, hey, you got to get a Russian and a Ukrainian together in a Lithway fight and hype it up. Like I think it would be pretty dope and get pretty hype if you could have a Russian and a Ukrainian fight. But anyway, they're doing these fights. They have another one scheduled in the following month in Colombia, and the holders of like the NFT get like access and stuff like that. But the website's been developed. They have a decentralized application on there where all the fighters that are involved in these events will have their own ENS addresses registered to them. It's extremely interactive. So you log onto the website, you watch the fight, you can tip the fighters directly with crypto. All their ENSs are there just with the click of a button. You can wager on the fights with crypto. You can bet on them. You can vote for fight of the night, and they will get the fighter that you choose will get a reward. Like it's a pretty sick like interactive thing, and for a coin that started as who knows what, like I don't know like if you guys were around, but like when the coin launched, like I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I love the concept of like fighters being compensated, and I felt like being that they were so poorly compensated in relationship to other professionals, you had an opportunity to really get some good solid marketing and help people, and it took off like within 1 month of it being launched. They were being mentioned on like the biggest pay-per-views the UFC was doing, and completely changed the way the UFC markets. Like for instance, they now have, if you watch a UFC, you can vote on who you want, and crypto.com will pay the winner, the top three guys in crypto. Like that literally was my idea that I came up with for MRI that we implemented. And now you're seeing it happen in the UFC. I mean, like at the end of the day, they did a lot of good. And when you think about like looking at the price, obviously this is the top and it's been bleeding out ever since. So like it leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and they, oh, look at that scam, and it was a scam. Like at the end of the day, it wasn't a scam. They've created a fight club. There's still a strong community there that supports this project. And when the markets turn, something like this actually has very good potential. I mean, I think it's like below 10 million market cap, and they've had 20% of the supply burnt due to the token. There's no buy tax anymore. So there's a lot of good things going for it. And when you think about like, okay, people say it's a scam. Well, number one, in crypto, if you know about crypto, like scams pump the hardest. Okay. So like whatever people think is a scam, like ends up pumping the hardest. It's always that way. But I don't, don't, you can't buy the amount of publicity that they got. It would have cost hundreds, like 100. That's what crypto.com pays for, millions and millions of dollars a year, or VeChain. They're spending a fortune marketing on the UFC. Meanwhile, in a short period of time, MRI with, small amount grassroots kind of organization was able to penetrate I mean, the biggest stars. You had Colby Covington shouting them out. And still to this day, I mean, if you saw Paulo Costa doing his Liver King challenge, he's wearing an MRI shirt. He has an MRI banner behind him. They're still getting a lot of attention. So it's becoming more of a household name, at least in the public eye around MMA. And I think they will continue to do so. So I'm not going to make a prediction about price. I would love to see this wave hold. And for now, it does look kind of bullish, actually. I'm not sure where it's going. But in the next cycle, like I said, make sure to watch the Schmidt video. 2023, I think, is the time to really start to load up and prepare for your own futures. So, like, could this do another run and break out of this flag and make another high? Yeah, I think it's quite possible. So, you want to time these properly, but keep in mind, just because like crypto's dumping and stocks are dumping, it doesn't mean that there won't be outliers, right? So, like, I'll give you one right now, and I don't have this, okay? But like if you don't know about it, like I actually did a meme coin video a few months ago and I mentioned it and I should have just bought it then, but this thing was going just straight up and like I know a couple people that like saved their crypto portfolios with this and finding the Suka out of all the other it's like 1 out of 1,000, probably worse. Like the odds of picking this coin out of like everything else that's dumping is like kind of like picking a needle in a haystack. It's difficult. So I give props to people that were able to, but like this is a serious run and during a trend that's just been awful. Fold is another one that outperformed. Bone is another one that outperformed. So, do your own analysis, but just because like I'm bearish overall, it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be stuff that outperforms. Like Chainlink was a good example as well. So, I think MRI has a shot. I mean, it's got a lot of good stuff going for it, and at this price range, it's you're a speculator. You don't want to go crazy, and like let's say you had like $1,000 to put in, like I wouldn't put it all in at one entry, especially after a pump. But structurally, this is looking kind of decent. If we can mark up above, like I don't know, like maybe it goes up here pretty quickly and then makes another flag, and then hopefully things get better. But we'll see. They have the fight. They're doing a lot of marketing. Have an NFT project. They give a lot of benefit to the community. And at this point, the people that are still around like aren't looking to sell around here. I think for the most part, like the weak hands, quote unquote, have been rinsed out of this. So definitely keep an eye on this guy. What else? What else? What else? I think that's about it. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, comments that you want me to answer, like we could do that now. I'm gonna take my son to a bar mitzvah in a little bit. Then I'm going over a friend's house. So I got stuff to do today, but wanted to check in and give you guys an update. It's good to be back in MRI, to be honest. Like I said on the spaces, like I don't want to really repeat too much, but some stuff happened and I felt disrespected, and I just said, you know what, f this, I'm out, and the leadership now seems to really have their stuff together. I mean, but I was never going to badmouth them because I really love the project. And that month and a half, 2 months doing the spaces with Chael Sonnen, talking to Aljamain Sterling and, asking Marvin Vittori if they have any Korean Jews in Italy. Like this type of stuff is stuff I'll never forget. It was like the craziest thing I've ever been a part of in crypto. And it always will be dear to my heart, regardless of what price is. I'll always have fond memories of this project. And, you know, that's why people were like, "Hey, why don't you talk about it?" I'm a man of morals. There are certain things that, like, it's not that anything nefarious happened. Yeah, show me the code, but it's just certain things that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not talking about it. And we had a reconciliation. I spoke to the leadership there, and I'm excited. I wanna. I've said this so many times. I feel like 2023 is the year to really, prepare yourselves for the next markup, which will last many years. And you don't get a chance to redo these things. So, I'm building, as you can see, I'm trying to up my content. I'm trying to do better content, trying to make the production better. And you'll see. I mean, you're part. You guys watching right now, you're gonna be along for the journey. I'm telling you, there are guys like I'm not going to name names, but these YouTubers that are super popular, like I know I can do better content than them. I know that I can help you guys more than they can. I know that I'm not a scumbag like these guys. I mean, if you're following Zach XBT, you saw like the crypto lark thing, like the stuff that they're doing is crazy, like legit. Like to tweet and then dump your position like right when you tweet, like it's just and just do it over and over and over again. Like that is insane. That is insane. Um, but that's what happens, and their thing is leading people to the slaughter. I'm gonna be wrong. If you're one of those people that are like, oh, he was wrong, I'm unfollowing him, like just unfollow me now because I will be wrong. It's going to happen. I mean, I'm taking shots, I'm taking risk, but like I'm not the guy that buys quietly. And like if you can check, like all of this is somewhat easy to document. Like when I get into something, I tell you right away. And like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know, I'm not going to quietly be in or do the pre-sale. I didn't get any pre-sale of anything, like, unfortunately. I would have liked to. I think I missed an opportunity there. But from 2017, I had so much PTSD from doing ICOs. I'm like, I don't want to give anybody my money anymore. Like, I lost hundreds of ETH. But you know, I'll tell you early as I'm in, and then, if it goes up 100x and then goes back down, like, don't blame me. You know, it is what it is. Have I heard of CRAMER on Uni? Of course I've heard of CRAMER. I faded. I didn't. It's hard to tell because, like, a lot of these memes were just, they get to like 200, 300 market cap, and then the people that are in early that botted the launch or whatever end up dumping on you, and it's like, f this. Like I said, it's like picking a needle out of a haystack. But apparently this one did pretty well. The liquidity isn't phenomenal, but it's early. 2 million, 2.2 million cap. Like, yeah, if you bought in here, like, you did well. I would lock in profit, but yeah, like, I don't know. It's hard to predict which one's going to be strong. Like, I think with memes, it has to be extremely timely. Like, for instance, like Queen. When the Queen died, the Queen coin did really well. CRAMER, I'm not sure how much longevity this will have, but it's performing pretty well. I don't know. This hourly isn't phenomenal, but yeah, I heard about it. Anything else? How do we add BTCD adjusted? So you would just type up here like BTC.D plus USDT.D plus USDC.D plus like any other stables. Like, mine actually isn't the most accurate, but like, what else is there? USDC, USDT, and like any other stable baskets that you want to add into it, you just add and then it'll give you this. Or you could just copy paste. Here. Like, this is mine. I'll put it in. Oh, I can't even put it in chat, but this is what it looks like. So screenshot that, and then you can just key it in. You can make any pair you want, like on TradingView. So yeah, it's let's see what ETH is doing. All right. We'll see. We've tapped the neckline. We can break above, then you get the scam pump up here. Like, if it gives up here, like today, I think you could short any of this, like between 1350 and 1365. Like, we shorted 1367 yesterday, actually, like with the super tight stop, and it can come back up here in round trip. It can. It's the weekend. There's less volume. When it gets really tight like this, like playing close to market will get you. They'll get you in both directions. So, but like anywhere from here to here, like in this area, like, I think if you get a scam wick up there, you probably short that. Right? All right, so I think that's about it. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'm gonna hop off. 10 o'clock. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe. Also, a reminder, like I said yesterday, I'll show you. I mean, I called what, legit, like as soon as it happened, I called that in this room. Yeah, like right here. Oh, you can't see that. Well, you could take my word for it. But said you could short BTC and ETH right now with less than a 1% stop. Bitcoin's at 2100 or 21K. ETH at 1366. The RR is really good. And the reason being, like, why that level was so good is just basically like you're retesting the bottom of this structure here and this kind of like neckline area, and just looking at it, there's other reasons that, like, I don't even feel like drawing the chart right now, but from a higher time frame, you were retesting an angle of strength, and it's one of those positions where it's like, all right, you can short here with a very tight stop, because if this continues, like I was looking at, I'll give you my mindset on why I said that area was the area, because I'm looking at it on a low time frame as well as a high time frame, and SPX was sitting right on the 200 moving average and down like over 1%. And I'm like, all right, if SPX bounces here and Bitcoin and ETH is at this resistance, it's going to break this, and then we're going to have a really bullish day. And there's actual bullish potential there, because like if you look at Bitcoin, like if we can bounce out of this area with force, I won't be bearish anymore, because then it'll probably squeeze higher. Like you'll come up here again, or you can even break this. Like it can get super bullish. Like let's be real. Like if Bitcoin is able to hang on here and bounce out with volume, I'm not going to be bearish anymore. But I was looking at SPX and I'm like, all right, if this bounces off this hard, Bitcoin and ETH is going to bounce too, and it's going to break this resistance, and it's going to create like a strong move. So when you take that trade, it's basically like you can have like your stop like 1% away, but if you're right about the position, you're going to be right away, which is what you always want. Especially, I mean, if you're trading leverage, you don't want to be underwater like immediately and then fighting against it. Like it's better just to cut at that point. You want to kind of like look for areas where you need to be right away. It's like the point of maximum pain for the other side, the counterparty, and that's what I was seeing there. So yeah, just a reminder, like if you use any of my ref links, they're in the description. Like you do have access to this Telegram group. It's only like 6 or 7 of us in there, and you know, not saying like we're like I'm gonna be there all day holding your hand, but if you want to get into trading and where you want to just, you know, not to be by yourself. These other guys just, you know, spam the ref link thing, get 1 million people to sign up, and that's how they make their money. And, you know, good for them. It is what it is. Can't knock the hustle. But at the very least, I do want to offer you guys at least something in return, because I do appreciate when you use it. It helps me out. Makes it more gives me more motivation to do content. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, the shorts are still open. I think you hold them. I mean, we took profit yesterday around here. It was 300% gain. So if you're getting 300% on a position, like close 33% of it, it's a free trade. Make some money. You can leave your stops in place, because if that level is violated, like with force, yeah, we could be bullish. So I'd be keeping an eye out for that. Like that's above like 1380. Yeah, it's probably running to like 15 or so. So then, you know, I was just wrong about the macro direction of the move, but I haven't seen anything yet to make me think that we're going to be doing that. So we'll keep an eye out. I'm going to have more videos coming out next week. I'm trying to do one live stream a week. We're going to remember, if you have any comments or anything in the comment section, if you guys think there's like a particular day or time that I should be doing these, let me know. And yeah, everyone enjoy your weekend and trade safe.